Within the wide world of Dragon Ball games that have ever existed, we've had some curious experiences. Some with deep fighting mechanics, others focused on RPGs, others in arena fighters, and so on, with many more. Few developers have had the luxury of getting to work when it comes to an adventure genre, so at a certain point the developers of Media Vision saw potential not only in the story of Dragon Ball Z, but in the story of Dragon Ball, the original quest for the Dragon Balls. In this way, Bandai Namco gave them green light for Dragon Ball Revenge of King Piccolo. We continue with our journey of reviewing Dragon Ball games. On this opportunity, a title awaits us that I personally consider extremely underrated. If we reach 50 likes, there is no doubt that I will continue to bring more and more of these videos that you have supported so much. So let's go! One of the games with passion and willingness to represent the original Dragon Ball story, that story full of magic and a spectacular narrative that laid the foundations for what would become one of the greatest phenomenons in popular culture, developed by Media Vision and distributed by Bandai Namco. Dragon Ball Revenge of King Piccolo would arrive for the Nintendo Wii console exclusively, being an adventure game in 3D format with platforming and action elements. This game covers the story from the saga of the Red Ribbon Army to the saga of King Piccolo, and these arcs are all presented as an adventure mode where you advance through the scenarios of this beautiful world, which by the way was very well pictured until the final objectives of the missions. You could face interesting final bosses, but also iconic villains from these sagas. The game mechanics are very simple, giving us the possibility to make small combos of basic attacks, some variations with air combos, also with special attacks like the Kamehameha if we have enough ki meter. We also have counter attacks that can be executed at the right time. The enemies will spawn progressively and we will have to overcome various riddles and puzzles to pass the level. It is not pure combat all the time. The game graphics and the cel shading are not a big deal, as you may notice, but it is indeed something that works, something that meets the quality standards that a Nintendo Wii had in 2009. A cartoonish style that works, and I think that the graphic style used in these points of the story fit perfectly with the mood of the moment of the series. It's all very colorful and innocent, but it also has a very strong contrast with the arrival of this dark villain in the story of Dragon Ball. By this point, Advanced Adventure may have already come into your head if you are knowledgeable of the subject. The mythical Game Boy Advance back in 2004, if you ask me, one of the best representations in the history of Dragon Ball of everything Goku experiences when he is a child, including mechanics very similar to those we see here, but with a fluidity and essence that characterized it. In the 2000s, at least in my case, the way I saw it, the Dragon Ball series was something that went very unnoticed, lost in all that sea of favoritism due to the popularity of Dragon Ball Z. So one day my parents gave me 4 DVDs that came with the first 75 chapters of Dragon Ball. I decided to watch them and I loved it, so much that I got all the other remaining DVDs to finish watching it all, and I could not stop being amazed by everything I saw and the origin of many characters. Years later, I decided to watch it again, and I can only say that I liked it more than I remember. The narrative managed by Akira Toriyama in these volumes is simply spectacular, and it really made me very happy to see that at least the video game ideas that they represented this plot were not discarded. Advanced Adventure was that air of gratitude for me for such masterful work, extremely underrated. Getting back with the game, the soundtrack is nothing extremely spectacular. It simply has melodies that fulfill their immersing role. It has some themes heard in Budokai Tenkaichi 3, but nothing special to highlight. The feeling of the game is pleasant, very pleasant. It is one of those games that, without offering a real challenge, very marked with depth or even a very extensive roster of characters, knows how to exploit its strengths and takes you to relax for a while in your couch and enjoy the story of Kid Goku. I would have liked to see more variety of movements though, some techniques to unlock or even improvements, but everything remains very conservative in its mechanics. But hey, they bother to give you extra items like collectibles. The in-game cinematics of the game had a lot of potential, but when it comes to the dialogue, it was just a matter of anime images with skippable text. As for the boss fights, in addition to offering the same movement and attack mechanics as in the adventure mode, you must manage to learn movement patterns, use objects to your favor, and also in some cases do some pretty short quick time events. Still, I would like to highlight the very polished fidelity that the scenes in the game provide to the original material of the Dragon Ball work, showing moments that every fan of the franchise knows how to appreciate with a lot of gratitude. I was pleasantly surprised to see so little recycled material from the scenes, when the developers who have had the Dragon Ball licenses tend to do so a lot. The appearance of Tao Pai Pai, the minigame to catch Karin, and the fights in the martial arts tournament are incredible additions. The additional game mode that they offer us is a good old versus mode, in individual hand-to-hand combat using different characters that we can also unlock, such as Krillin, Tien, Yamcha, Chaozu, King Piccolo, Jackie Chun, and several more. The gameplay doesn't vary too much, but if you include an extra meter that represents the stamina you have when blocking hits, if it's reduced to the minimum, your guard will break. So the fights can become just a little more technical, but they're still pretty simple. In conclusion, Dragon Ball Revenge of King Piccolo is a good time that I recommend trying for yourself, especially if you are a fan of the series. It has unique moments that doesn't fail in the minimum as a representation. The controls and kinesthetics are fluid, simple, but fairly well implemented in the type of game they represent. An adventure that offers many more hours than I expected in duration, so go try it if you have a Nintendo Wii. Guys, I know this video was a little shorter than you are used to, but don't worry, we will continue to bring more content to see all the games we need to review this year. Thank you so much for watching, that was all for today, take care and see ya!